Hello students, today we are going to discuss Stern-Garlag experiment. Okay, so to discuss that, let's have a little introduction historically into this field and how this just field got developed. Okay, so first of all, we discussed in the earlier classes the G-Man effect. So G-Man effect just came in 1896. We got G-Man effect, and G-Man effect actually told us that the theoretical interpretation actually G-Man effect gave us the theoretical interpretation of the magnetic dipole moments, right? We studied magnetic dipole moments. Now this was interpreted by G-Man, and in G-Man effect we saw that actually spectral lines of some line element, the spectral lines of any material, when any atom is placed in external magnetic field, the spectral lines in the external magnetic field gets split into three components. In normal G-Man effect we saw that there are three different components, right? So after this, later on the Bohr theory came. In 1913 the Bohr theory came, and what the Bohr theory suggested to us, the quantization of angular momentum, and because of that quantization of angular momentum, classical Bohr theory converted and gave us the quantum results of energy quantization, and that the quantization of angular momentum as well, and the quantization of magnetic moment as well. Okay, so by implications we can say that the quantization of the associated magnetic moment was also originated from his theory, Bohr theory. Then came Sommerfeld in 1916. He actually converted the circular orbits of electron. He suggested that more or less the orbits are quite elliptical ones. Then actually Sommerfeld theory also provided an alternative explanation to the normal G-Man effect. Then the question remained as to whether space quantization really occurs or not. So to describe that, here came Stern, and Stern proposed in 1921 to describe the question space quantization is possible or not. He actually gave us the experimental results. So space quantization can be vividly confirmed by the Stern-Garlag experiment. That's why this is much more important topic to discuss. Okay, and this is very important for your examination point of view, because this can come as a 4-mark question. So to before proceed this, now actually what was the experimental arrangement? Now in Stern-Garlag experiment, now Stern and Garlag in 1921 performed an experiment which demonstrated directly that an atom placed in a magnetic field can take only certain discrete orientation with respect to the field, and this is known as the space quantization as well. Okay, so how is this he demonstrated? He actually made a certain kind of experimental setup in which he took the oven in which there were silver atoms. So he actually just made a beam of neutral silver atoms, and he made to fold that beam. By collimating the beam, he used some slits, and by collimating the beam in a singular in a fashion that all the silver atoms are just moving in a particular direction, and that as a collimated beam. So when he actually used a inhomogeneous arrangement of magnetic field, here he used inhomogeneous arrangement of the magnetic field. So he made to pass the beam of neutral silver beam through the inhomogeneous magnetic field. Now this is inhomogeneous magnetic field, and you can make the inhomogeneous arrangement in such a manner. Okay, here you can see the arrangement. So what he saw, that the magnetic field is continuously changing. Now magnetic field magnitude is changing with respect to the z direction. Okay, magnetic, if this is z direction and this is the direction of the silver atoms, then he actually took the arrangement in such a manner that the magnetic field is continuously changing its magnitude in the z direction. Okay, and the beam just gets deflected by the force exerted by this field on the magnetic dipole moments of the atom. Now obviously the atom silver atom in the ground state, and the temperature arrangement of this oven is in a such a manner that the silver atoms remain to be in ground state. There is no thermal agitation. Okay, so actually he made, and in the ground state the electronic configuration is that in the outermost cell of the silver atom there is only one electron. Okay, so when we see there is a certain kind of magnetic dipole moment, magnetic moment origination, because of that electron revolving around the nucleus in a certain outermost cell, then there is a magnetic moment, and that magnetic moment can be calculated using the angular momentum concept. Okay, so we are going to discuss that as well actually, and we already studied this thing. However, for proceeding into this Stern-Garlick experiment, so he actually made to fold this beam in this z-x direction through this inhomogeneous magnetic field, and what he saw actually that there is a discrete orientation, particularly only two orientation of these atoms. Only any atom is falling over here or atom is falling over here. There is no continuous arrangement of the distribution or the continuous distribution of the atom on the screen, on the glass plate. This was the glass plate. Okay, so how it is possible? So to define this, now let's take that the silver atom has one valence electron, and if the magnetic moments were randomly oriented, now there are many atoms coming out, right? Like in this beam there are huge number of silver atoms. Now all atoms are certainly having a dipole moment. Okay, and because of that dipole moment and magnetic moment, now the orientation of these magnetic moment can be in different directions. Okay, so any atom can have a magnetic moment orientation in a different direction, and another one can have in a different direction. So barely what we got that the distribution of the deflection would decrease monotonically, like if the distribution is happening the atomic beam is coming like, and there is a deflection in this direction. Okay, we can understand because of this magnetic field, the magnetic inhomogeneous magnetic field will deflect these atomic beams or this atom. If this is the atom, then in this inhomogeneous magnetic field, now this I should actually okay rough this because there is too much crowded. So if atom beam is coming like this, and there is an inhomogeneous magnetic field set up over there, so it will experience some kind of deflection in this, and because of that force experienced by these atoms. So okay, we can see that there will be deflection in this z direction. Okay, and that deflection will decrease monotonically. Okay, in the further of the z direction, but this should have happen in a continuous manner, continuous distribution. This should have been a continuous distribution because magnetic dipole moments are oriented randomly, so we can have the distribution continuously, that in a particular direction, if the magnetic dipole moment is in a particular direction and it experiences a force, then the strength of force depends on the orientation of the magnetic moment as well, and the interaction between the inhomogeneous magnetic field and the magnetic dipole moment. So that depends on the orientation of magnetic dipole moment. Now if there are many different orientation of different magnetic dipole moment, then the distribution should be a continuous one. There should not be a discrete distribution. like oh, atom is coming and falling over here and here. This should not have happened, because according to this kind of distribution, we must have only two kind of orientation. One is like this and one second one is like this. Okay, so if this is not happening, the continuous distribution is not happening, then what is happening? Now we need to focus here, then what is happening actually. Okay, so Stern Garlick actually explained this. So first of all, we can define this theoretical arrangement, that but theoretically, and what does the theory say? That the magnetic experience by a net deflecting force in non-homogeneous magnetic field, which depends on the orientation of the magnetic magnet of the field. Since atoms are tiny magnets, they experience deflecting force when passing through the field. If an atom could have only one direction in the magnetic field, any direction, any orientation, then for the millions of atoms present in the beam, all possible orientation would be obtained and the beam would be deflected into continuous band. That's what we discussed. Okay, so first of all, what happens in a homogeneous magnetic field and inhomogeneous magnetic field? So in a homogeneous magnetic field, atoms having a particular orbital angular momentum, which can be described as m omega r square, right? And we can find out mu, magnetic moment, with respect to like silver atom has an electron revolving in the outermost shell around the nucleus. So they have the system has a particular angular momentum and orbital magnetic moment, which is E by 2 me L, right? We actually calculated this. So in the ground state, we must have these things. Okay, when this atom is placed in the external magnetic field or passing through the external magnetic field, if the external magnetic field is a homogeneous one, then it should experience a torque, and the torque value is equal to torque is mu cross B, right? And there is an interaction of the interaction between the external magnetic field and the magnetic moment, right? But now we have inhomogeneous magnetic field, so we will discuss the force experienced by these magnetic moment passing through this, or the tiny magnets passing through this inhomogeneous magnetic field. Okay, yes.